Okay, good evening, everybody. We're gonna start the New York analysis soon. Um, Let me see if I can do a slideshow. Okay, yeah. So my screen is covered with the slides, so I can't really see the Q&A. But so I'm just gonna start. So today we're gonna go through the gold price action. And my name is Sherman, and I'm the FX strategist partnering with Vantage to give you this live analysis. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to just put it in the group chat Q&A section, and I'll try and answer those as we go along. Okay, so basically, I've my background is in algorithmic trading, and basically, I code out my own strategies and um, execute all of this systematic trading on FX pairs and commods. So a quick disclaimer before we begin. This trading, any form of trading is high risk. So before you actually take any of these signals or whatever that we're going through today, make sure that you have like some form of independent advice and do understand the risk before you make any trading decisions. Okay. So as always, I'm gonna use TradingView to go through today's live analysis. I just want to make sure that my stream is done correctly. Okay. If you cannot see the screen, or if you're not able to see the charts, do let me know in the Q&A section. So feel free to put in any questions you have on the group chat. I'll look at them from time to time. And today's session is going to be a short one, half an hour as always. And we try to go through the concepts that we go through every single session so that this is consistent. Okay, so we're going to go through gold. Gold has been on a huge move this month. So we're going to start with the analysis on the higher time frame. Okay. So this is TradingView. I'm on the 4 hours time frame. The indicator of choice is the pivot points. Pivot points are projections for the next following period, right? So you can actually determine what kind of trader you are. Are you a day trader? Are you a scalper? Are you a 50-minute trader? Are you a session trader? So on and so forth. Okay. You can use any pivot points. Go under indicator, click on search for pivot points. You'll see a couple of scripts that you can actually use. The one that I'm using is Wayne's pivot because it has this area highlighted for us to actually take our target points. Okay. And I'm going to go through quickly what the pivot point does. So the pivot points are basically using the Wayne's pivot. What we can see is 9 different lines drawn out at on every session. So the key thing to note is that there are leading indicators. So at the start of the period, say for example on the weekly, and how do I know if this is a weekly pivot? Under the indicator, you can actually click on this settings cog, and under time frame, you can select the time frame that you want. Okay. So what I've done is that I've replicated the indicators and set it to a week, a daily, 4 hours, and 1 hour. And our analysis will be based off the high time frames, and we'll slowly drill down to the lower time frames. Okay. So basically, the pivot points are 9 different lines. The key point will be your pivot line, which is basically the point in which we know if prices are going to be bullish or bearish. 2 important lines below, the S1 and S2, which represents support 1 and support 2, and 2 lines above the pivot point, which are the important, which would be the resistance 1 and resistance 2 line. And in between each of these major lines, we have the M lines, which are the midpoints. Okay. bring attention to the highlighted area here, which is M4 and R2, as well as M1 and S2. Okay, M1 and S2 are your target sell points. So if you're bearish, this is the area where you will take profit. And if you're bullish, then this is the area that you will want to take profit. Okay. So we will carry on with the analysis that we have previously. So we were on this huge downtrend, right? And last week on Wednesday and Friday, we talked about this bullish trend approaching all of this resistance line. And on Friday, we can see that, prices have broken above these lines, and now it's resting. It did its first resistance turn support at 1908, and now prices have moved up. Okay, so the point that we want to make here, because this is more for the New York session analysis, we do not need to look at the weekly. Weekly is just to tell us the direction of the move, what's the major trend that we are in right now, and how do we actually follow this trend. Okay, another thing that I want to highlight as well, and I've mentioned this previously, when you're using the pivot points, there are two things that you need to take note of. Okay, the first thing is when price falls between R2 and S2. Okay, when prices fall between R2 and S2, it means that the prices are in a normal range where prices are behaving as they should. Okay, so to determine a trend, we need to see a point where prices are at a level that is not normal. Okay, so give you an example. In this week of 25th of September, okay, this is the normal range, R2 to S2, right? But prices fall and close below S2, which gave us the indication that this is going to be a bearish trend. Okay, the start of a bearish trend. Okay, and when prices closes above R2, then this gives us an indication that the overall trend has turned bullish. Okay, so weekly we are still bullish, right? And there is a question stating, how do we know if there is a change of trend? Okay, so the change of trend is very simple, right? Once we have a break below S2, we can consider that as a break of trend. Okay, so for example, if now prices are going up, right? For this to be bearish, right? Prices need to fall below S2, and then we change our narrative to a bearish trend. Okay. So usually when prices move from a bullish trend to a bearish trend, you can see that there is always a consolidation period, and then before prices move in a different direction. So bear in mind that reversals don't happen like immediately. They usually go through a period of range before it goes in the opposite direction. Okay, so I'm just going to extend this weekly line above higher to tell you that we are targeting this area here. This is our weekly target. Okay, R2 to M4, and I'm just going to state this as W1. Okay, so once that's done, we can close our weekly, right? And we can go down to our daily. So as we go down to our daily, we can actually just go down to the 15 minutes and start looking for entries. Okay, so just to look back at prices, on the 10th of October, prices have already broken above this daily R2 and close above R2. So that was our first indication of a bullish move. Second bullish move on the 11th of October, right? Third bullish move on the 13th of October. And now we are primed to actually close above R2 for today. Okay. So anyone in sales, you're gonna be in a huge problem, right? So we're only looking for buys for the next upcoming session. Okay, so daily wise, we have all of these support levels. This is D1 support level. This is not D1 support level. And this is another D1 support level. Okay. So as we can see, prices are far away from these support levels. We will need to go down to the lower time frame to find a better entry for us today. Okay, so pivot points now set at 4 hours. Okay, and my time frame now is at 15 minutes. I can set it to 5 minutes as well, just to see more of the activity within that 4 hours. Okay, so let's just look back at some of these areas that we have identified. Okay, so right here we have a 4 hours support turn resistance. So if we were to close off the pivot points, this was the area where we were supposed to find support. Okay, we're supposed to do this and then break a higher high, but instead we came down, break below this point, and now this is our known resistance. Okay, so it came down from this resistance, right? And we made it to this level. And what is this level, right? This level is this was a H4 support turn resistance, and then now because it has broken, this is where we have our order block as well. And Pit Perfect, this is where we rebounded, and this was the range that we were working on. The range that we're working off is at 1908 to 1925 for the last couple of days. And this was news on the Tuesday, right? And as you can see, this resistance, there's a lot of chop during the event, right? But it broke below as it should because this was the resistance level, right? And so what happened here was that price broke above this resistance level. Okay, we can actually ignore this whole part because this is all due to news, right? So this is very volatile. If you trade this period, it's going to be hard for you. But the idea was that prices were going to go up and then do this range until either it breaks below or it breaks above. Okay, that's the idea. So as you can see, a good range is one that touches both areas, right? And the moment it doesn't end up at the support level, this is our first indication that there are lack of sellers to bring the price down to this level. So again, we form a higher high while doing an equal resistance level, and you can see that this is our triangle pattern as well. Okay, so what happens to the triangle pattern is that once it breaks up, then we'll see we have a clear confirmation that this is a buy. Okay, so again, this was the resistance, right? If you ignore this current H2, H4, R2, and M4, what happens is that it's something like it broke above, came back to retest, and on this level, this was our entry. Okay. So this was our entry, and right now we are looking for buys only. So once we entered this H4 period, right, this was the support that we were looking at. This was the support for us to break, right? But there was no liquidity sweep below. And then there was a liquidity sweep above here around pre-London. And again, we see the same pattern, right? In this range. And it should have been something like that, right? But instead it stopped short, came up here, broke above, and this was a breakup point. Okay, so these two levels, now that we have broken above this H4, this is our immediate H4 support. Okay. So why is this H4 support important? It's because now we have about 2 more days to the end of the weekly session. So we already stated this is where we need to be, 1992. We need to be at the end of the week, given the move earlier this week, right? So if you want to buy, right, it would be something like this to S1, and then target here. And again, most of the time, prices will fall within the pivot points. So, and again, another reason why we are not going to sell today, because within the same day, 2 4 hours M4 R2 blocks were broken. So there's no reason why you should sell, because even if you're running a grid, you would not have sufficient retracement to close off your grid. Okay, even this part here, this was not big enough for you to get a sufficient retracement to close off grids. All right, so now we are in this range where we have just broken this M4 R2. So we're gonna keep with the idea here that this was the first touch, right? If we are lucky, right, prices will come in for the next 4 hours. This will be what I would expect prices to do. But again, if prices are, again, we're already above R2, so there isn't a limit to where prices can go. So in fact, prices can just move up from here, retap this level. And do keep in mind that 1992 is our target. Why is it 1992 as the target? So this was the entire weekly zone. So it's 1983 to 2001. What we're targeting is the average or the median price between these levels. Yeah, it's a good place for us to actually get a target or TPs here. Okay, so again, here's the weekly. You can look at the daily just to close out this all of this. This is our daily, right? Our H4 is just sitting above our daily M4 R2. Again, this whole range will be a very strong support level. Okay. One key thing to note is that this is also another setup for reversals, right? What is a reversal setup based on this? Okay, I can show you guys what is that setup. Okay, so again, target price is here, and the close the daily. Target price quickly here. So potentially what we want to do is something like that. Hit our R2, and if we end up here, we'll be somewhat on the next 4 hours M3. We hit back to the pivot, move up again, hit back to the pivot, move up again, hit back to the pivot. And that's how we're gonna make our way up to the weekly target points, okay? So what is a reversal pattern here? A reversal pattern here would be a break of this support and turning this into resistance. Okay, so if I can get it down to say M1 tap, if I were to close around here, it would be the M2. From M2, target M1, and then we go down further. I'll keep this red so that we know that this is our bearish pattern. So no matter what, this level here, 1942, it's the critical level. This level here is where we decide if we're going to buy or we're going to sell. 1942.57. Okay, with your stop losses below this range or above this range. Okay, so this is only contingent on prices closing above R2 at this 4 hours level. Okay, if there is a news coming up at 8:30, is there news coming up? There is news coming up at 8:30. Building permits. Okay, I don't think that's gonna be much of an issue, but if we see a significantly lower number, then we might be able to see a huge push up. Okay. Otherwise, this was the big move. Where is our order block? Our order block will be here. Okay. Our order block will be this last candle on the 5 minutes before it moves up. So I will expect price to, oops, not this. Prices to be coming down. If it doesn't close above this, it retreats back to this order block before moving higher. Okay, and our first target point is still this level for buys. I can highlight it here, the halfway point between R2 and M4, 1955, which is roughly a 17 pip move. Okay. So again, our overall narrative is bullish. So the tendency is for us to actually work with these two moves. But in the event that prices dip down to M1, then we'll start to look for sells. Okay. Hope I didn't go through this too quickly. So that's the idea for gold today. Gold. Okay, gold. This is the idea for gold. Again, we can see prices moving up. So in about 8 minutes, we can see if prices shoot up. And if prices were to shoot up, right, since we do not have a point above the 4 hours, we can look at the daily. And daily is also way above. So we can't really look at the daily as well, because this is where the R2, the last line, the highest resistance here, and prices have already broken out of this resistance. Okay, same thing for 4 hours. Prices have already broken out of R2. So there isn't a line, there isn't a target for us on the 4 hours. So what we can do is we can use the 1 hour. And again, we are also at the 1 hour target price, and for R2, and prices are moving above. So it seems that gold is going to be very bullish, and we do not have any target price other than the weekly, which is at 1992. Okay. So because of news, we would need to fall back on the next 4 hours period. So that will be in another 40 minutes, right? And what you would expect is for price to go up and for the next set of pivot points to end off at M3. And basically what you want to do is for prices to go up to M3, hit back to pivot, and then we move up again. All right, so every scenario today would be to buy. And even if you buy here, you grid your entries, 1 here and 1 here, right? You shouldn't have an issue closing off profitable tonight. Okay, so the levels to watch, 1942 for the best setup of your buys. Next best would be 1955 for it to retest. So it has to break and retest this level. And our target is 1992. That's going to be a 400 pip move. Okay, so that's kind of the plan for gold. Let's take a look at SPY. Okay, SPY indices, right? Do we have that same kind of movement in SPY? Okay, so this was kind of like our move, and oh, it followed accordingly. Okay, that's nice. So we can just continue with this this analysis. Okay, we have this weekly resistance here, nicely touched this point. And okay, we are moving up on a daily. This is where our daily support is. So we are fighting between these two levels. And you see prices are falling within the range of R2 and S2. So there isn't any much movement, but all we know is that the last daily move narrative was bullish, but the weekly narrative is bearish. Okay. So I would say this will be our critical zone. Our critical zone is here. Okay, this is where the gap was formed on the 22nd of September. So no matter what, if you buy or sell, it's gonna be at this point. Okay, for us to buy, again, push up, let it retest, go up higher. Same thing, this is where we buy. For us to sell, we're gonna target here, lower low, and target our V1 zone. Okay, I'm just gonna leave this here so that we can revisit this down the road. So no matter what, this will be our target 438 for SPY, 438. 438 will be the price to watch for SPY. All right. 3 more minutes before the event is out, the announcement of building permits. So we're just gonna stick around to watch what gold is doing. 1.38%. There is no way that you're gonna sell today. There is no way. Right? This 1.38% can become a 2% move tonight. So as long as you're buying, you're safe. You're very safe. Just keep buying. Okay. We can look at dollars, some dollar pair, euro dollars. Okay. Euro dollars is very interesting as well. So very nice double top here on the daily, right? And so today we're just gonna range between this. The last daily move was a bearish move, but because of this this break above and coming back to retest, now we're in this very neutral zone. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. I can go through them. You can look at U dollar Swiss franc. Okay. Dollar Swiss franc, again, we are approaching this area here. Right. Dollar Swiss franc is pretty interesting because it made this humongous move, right, from 85.43 all the way up to 92.59. That's about a 700 pip move. And so now we're back to this point whereby it can be considered a reversal zone. And you can see this order block here, this order block. I'm just going to state this as a OB, H4. And if you were to apply the weekly, right, falls within S1 and 1. So this big zone here would be a very strong support. And if it breaks below this, dollar is going to fall even further. Again, all these order blocks, we will always buy first for the support, and once it breaks below, it turns into resistance, and then we'll sell back at the same level. Okay, but just for today, okay, the idea for dollar Swiss franc would be sell. So M3 was the entry, right? M3, target M1. Okay, so we are probably going to go this way, okay, for the rest of the day, right? M2, target was M4, okay, but you would have been stopped out. But the key things to note is that are we on a bullish narrative or bearish narrative, right? So we were on the bearish narrative on the 13th of October, and it has followed through all the way to here. So question would be, do we sell M3 or do we buy M2? The answer would be selling M3, would be the high probability setup. Okay, so news is out. And is this as expected? Is this what we have expected? right? If it goes down, this is where we want to buy. 1942 is where we want to buy. Okay. The news is out, and we have a better than expected building permit. Okay. So that's kind of mixed. So the market for this building of homes still high, which means that like dollars gonna, I mean, the Fed would actually improve rates more, right? If they can't get inflation down, the demand for houses are still high. So yeah, we're not getting much of a reaction, but ideally down to 1942. And again, we'll revisit this on Friday. Our target price would be 1992. This is like a 500 pip move, but we'll see if that's possible. Okay, that's about it for today. Hope you guys were able to follow the session. As always, we go through the same setups every session so that we keep the content consistent and that we have a profitable and consistent trading strategy to follow. Again, if you have any questions, do feel free to reach out to me or post your questions on this webinars so that I can answer them. If there are no other questions, then I'll end the stream here today, and I'll see you again on Thursday, tomorrow, at 4 p.m. Singapore time. Okay.